Hello there and welcome back to the channel. This is Nerd.World History, and today continuing the Celtic tribal series, and this time with the Trinovantes. The Trinovantes, if you're not familiar with them, are one of the two most powerful tribes from southeastern Britain, and according to Julius Caesar were probably the local power, second only to the Catuvellauni. Unfortunately, the Trinovantes made the fateful and somewhat treacherous decision to side with the Romans upon their invasion, which we'll get to later in this story. Before we do, please like, share, subscribe, and comment down below if you're enjoying the content on this channel. And also, linked in the description below are my other channels, Nerd.World, Nerd.World Order, and Nerd.World Films, all of which need more subscribers. So if you like the content on those channels, feel free. Subscribe away. And for now, let's get on with the Trinovantes. The Trinovantes, as a tribe, lived in the area which, for ease of reference sake to international viewers, roughly where London is, and the surrounding areas up towards East Anglia. East Anglia was the home of the Iceni tribe, who I have previously covered. They would have been the northern border. To their west would have been the Catuvellauni, to the south the Canti, the Belgi, and a little bit further afield with the Atrebates tribe. Similar to some of these tribes, the Trinovantes probably originated on continental Europe and annexed or absorbed into the local territory in which they would futurely live. It is worth noting that the city of London, which is traditionally seen as a Roman city, and it was, Londinium, was a settlement created by Roman legionaries to retire in, was built on the foundations of an earlier Iron Age settlement, to which it actually derives its name, which there are many different versions, and they're all spelt in a way I cannot pronounce, a bit like Welsh, but it basically was Lod Don, and that may have been the earlier name of the pre-Roman settlement that was on the banks of the River Thames, which would later become London. This was founded in around 500 BC, although whether it was founded specifically by the Trinovantes or whatever power lived in the area before then, perhaps the Iceni or the Canti or somebody else, and the Trinovantes simply annexed that area or broke away from another tribe. With the changing borders and sporadic history of the Celts, it's really impossible to know. Based on burials in the area, which are very similar to those found in Belgium and Northern Gaul, Belgium and Northern France basically, it is likely that there is a strong connection to them. It should also be pointed out that their name, Trinovantes, which is relatively believed to be how it was actually pronounced, with a hard V in the middle, Vantes, was similar to a tribal name from northern Britain in the lowlands of Scotland called the Novantia. The Trinovante, the Novantia, basically it's very, very similar spelling without the prefix of tree on the front, although there isn't believed to be any direct connection between the two tribes, as in they're not related genetically or culturally specifically. They're not an offshoot or a branch from one another. They probably did share a common language, or certainly shared a common language, and there will have been a original naming convention, so basically a root word to which both tribes are named for. And that's just a little interesting piece of trivia I found out about the tribe while doing my research, because oddly I had not put those 2 points together myself in my own head. Now, going back to the Romans. The Romans would first invade Britain in 56 BC under Julius Caesar. They would initially be repelled, but they'd get good relations with the Trinovantes upon their arrival, with Caesar noting that they were the strongest tribe in the local area, but they actually promised fealty to him as long as he promised to treat them fairly. Now, because of this, their leader was exiled from Britain by the Celtic High King, for lack of a better term, of the Catuvellauni, and he fled to the continental Europe, and Caesar would basically make a deal with Caesar that if Caesar would put him back in power in Britannia when he invades again, the Trinovantes would swear fealty to the Romans and they'd become a client state. And when Julius Caesar did come back, this Celt plus his allies actually gave away the hiding spaces and tribal centers and fortifications where the Catuvellauni tribe were launching their attacks from, allowing the Romans to swiftly and efficiently obliterate the Catuvellauni resistance in the local area, allowing the Romans to get a stronger foothold in the area. Damn traitor. I'll do a more detailed video on that individual at another date. Moving forward from the era of Mandubracus, who ruled from approximately 54 BC to maybe 30 BC, perhaps as far as 20 BC, you get into the full Roman era in 42, 43 AD when the Romans decided to invade. The Trinovantes, sticking to their word, would side with the Romans, but this would prove to be a mistake. Now, I have done a more detailed video on this, but I'll touch on the cliff notes, because basically we're talking Boudiccan revolt here. When Boudica was flogged and her daughters raped by the Romans, this was a huge slap in the face to all the Celts. Now, many of the Celts, including the Trinovantes, by this point have begun to feel the pinch of Roman imperial indoctrination and rule. Now, although some of the higher classes were treated better, the lower classes either became slaves or life pretty much didn't change very much. For example, roundhouses were still in use in the post-Roman period in Britain. It took a while to stamp out that culture completely. But they sort of merchant classes, the sort of middle classes, if you will, maybe the warrior classes, they were definitely not feeling it for the Romans. And this massive slap in the face against one of their own rulers was a little too much for many of them to bear, and the Trinovantes, along with the Iceni, went up in open revolt backing Boudica against the Romans. And obviously there is another video on that. It ultimately didn't succeed, and the Trinovantes, like the Iceni, would pay dearly for that decision. Going forward, that pretty much spelled the end of the Trinovantes, as they were punished and fully then subjugated and absorbed into the Roman Empire proper, no longer being of a client kingdom status. But we do remember them historically, particularly because of their involvement with the Boudiccan revolt, which, better late than never to get involved in resisting the Romans, I suppose. I will do a video on Mandubracus and the other chieftains of the Trinovantes, because we actually have quite a few of them named, and rather than do a sort of throwing names into a video, I'll try and do more of a timeline video for this tribe, because we do know a little bit more about the named leaders and how their interactions with some of the other tribes, particularly the Catavaloni, who I know I've mentioned a lot in my other videos, and they're actually probably going to be my next video after that one, because I'm trying to systematically now cover the tribes going north, any that I haven't covered, and the Catavaloni are pretty much next on the list. They were the most powerful tribe in southern Britain, and by extension probably the most powerful tribe in all of Britain at the time. They ruled directly or indirectly pretty much everybody, and everybody had some kind of dealings with them. That's why the Romans felt such a strong and powerful need to put them down. But that's for the next video. In the interim, if you've made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, comment down below any of your thoughts you have on this, and bye-bye.